Welcome back to Fear and Beer, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. Join us as we venture year-round into the fog.
Make sure you give us a like and a follow on your podcast platform of choice. Also, be sure to check out our YouTube page where we upload every episode in its video format, and maybe a few other surprises as well.
Make sure you're following us on social media to keep up to date with our newest haunted content.
I'm Nick.
I'm Shamus.
I'm Jamie.
Speculation season is seemingly here, I guess. You know, we're already talking spec maps. It's weird. This is the second one, but it's like I don't really view it as the first one, either of them, because they're sort of like these special drops, right? We had one on Christmas. So that was kind of like a tease almost. And then this one recently on the 13th of this month, February, they dropped a special, and I say they, meaning Horror Night Nightmares, dropped a Friday the 13th edition speculation map. We did, myself and Shamus covered this on our YouTube live fairly extensively. I think we were going to do just a live reaction, but it ended up being a 2-hour plus YouTube live. So if you do want to see that or hear some thoughts of our initial opinions, you can go to our YouTube channel and find that there. But Jamie wasn't on the live. We wanted to get her thoughts and opinions on this and what her thoughts were for this map. So we're going to touch on this speculation map a little bit today. Also, at the end of this episode, this is kind of like a little bonus episode. Make sure you listen all the way through, because at the end, Shamus and myself got to sit down and chat with Vinny Pacifico, a professional wrestler who is dipping his toes into the horror acting world progressively. He's done a few already, and he's got a whole bunch coming up. I don't want to spoil too much, but check that interview out at the end of this episode. We'll play it before our outro music hits, so you don't have to sit through the outro and then the little surprise bonus episode. But yeah, there was a fun little chat that we had with him, so I'm sure we'll circle back and do that again at some point. But Jamie, have you looked at this map really, or kind of?
I've dabbled into looking into it. I haven't fully deep dived myself into it because I knew we'd be going over it for the episode, and I kind of like to go in blind with them. Honestly, I like to hear everyone's ideas first. I know it sounds bad, but I feel like it's kind of what usually gets my creative thoughts flowing, is from kind of bouncing off other people's, Nick's and Shamus's ideas.
Yeah, and this one I had notes. I had the notes that I had for our live, and then when we did our mini episode with Vinny, I kind of deleted all my notes. So I'm doing this one kind of off the dome. So I might forget some stuff. I might mess some stuff up, but we're just going to kind of talk through it a little bit, especially since it's still very early. We do have to state that nothing is official. These are all he said, she said, speculative guesses. Nothing is concrete. So who cares? If I say some wrong stuff, then, this stuff is probably wrong anyways. It's very early in speculation season. So don't take anything set in stone or anything like that. But there is a couple different changes from this versus the last map. So we're just going to focus on this one. I won't really be diving into, well, this was here last time, this was on this one left. Well, that might just come naturally, as far as like, I don't remember seeing this. Well, it probably wasn't there. So I don't have anything special. I do have one special beer in the fridge, but I just didn't feel like tapping into that tonight. I just wanted a nice, refreshing water. And if you're looking at YouTube, it is actually a Bud Light can. That is what we refer to as water around here at Fear and Beer. Just something to hydrate yourself with. So I don't have to go into detail. It's Bud Light. You know what it is. So let's dive into this. I think first we'll get into all the miscellaneous stuff, and then we'll do the houses. Because if you zoom in on this map, there's some little miscellaneous things there. So first off the bat, the sort of unknowns are just displaying a machete. That is not hinting at anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not hinting at anything. It is simply because this is Friday the 13th themed. They did that as sort of like a, we don't know, we'll
like
get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It's a filler. So we have 4 scare zones, all with that little machete. And a couple of the houses as well, but actually, no, all the houses have icons. Sorry, scratch that. The 4 scare zones are machetes, and the 2 shows are machetes. One at the Fear Factor stage and one at the Lagoon show, hinting that, again, it'll be a similar layout like we had last year. Now, the other little additions to this, if you zoom, there is a they're little black icons and they're teeny tiny. It's hard to see. But over where Mel's is located, there is a small little icon that looks like a shoe or roller skate. So they're under the assumption that maybe we're getting some sort of skating Mel's thing again. I'd be curious if they just rolled back the Mel's Dying Zombies. I would think they would either add to it or make some addition to it. What do you think? Do you think this would be weird if it was like just the same thing again?
I would think it would be a little weird, but I mean, they did have the chainsaw clown horde for a couple years, so I mean that was kind of the same thing, even though they might have switched up the outfits and the makeup a little bit. I mean, it would make sense for it to fit right there, unless they like themed the zombies differently, perchance. But again, I mean, the male zombies was the whole point of them being the male's like workers and stuff. So I don't know, but it's funny that you said it pointed out because it looked like a roller skate. Because I was looking at it trying to figure it out, and I was like, looks like a someone's sweeping.
Like a stiletto of sorts or something like that, like a high heel show. Yeah.
Yes. Now, as soon as you
I
said it, I was like, okay, that makes more sense.
yeah. That's sitting on that corner. It would throw me off a little bit. It's tough because with the theming of where it's located, it's kind of hard to deviate from that theme that's already there. Obviously, that 50s dine drive-in style aesthetic. It's so fitting that it's tough to fit something else there
Correct.
that would make sense. So
Mhm.
that is still there. You mentioned the clown chainsaw-y things. Well,
Mhm.
there is another little chainsaw icon back up in Simpsons area.
Yep, there it is. I didn't
It,
notice that one. I had it too
it's
zoomed in.
Yeah, it's a little tricky to see, but you can
Mhm.
make it out.
Yep.
So that seems to be their home once again.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the clowns again. I would kind of like to see it at least changed up a little bit. But again, that is something that fits there. Is the Springfield, all the little carnival games, like it makes
Mhm.
sense that they're clowns. I would hope that there would be some sort of break from the clown thing there, just because we had saw it already. Just change the attire. That's all you need. I mean, we're not the biggest fans of the chainsaw thing, so sticking it in the back corners is fine enough for us. But yeah, I'd like to see some sort of switch up. What are
Mhm.
are you okay with maybe just rolling back the clowns? I mean, this seems to be a clown heavy year. That's what the rumors are right now. But
It it's never bothered me having the chainsaw clowns over in Simpsons because, like you said, it does make sense. Well, like the Carney games and stuff like that. But then again, too, it feels like it just fills in that space too. Because I feel like when they didn't have it there in the years before, it was kind of just a dead spot that you were walking through until you got to the next food tent or food truck that they usually have over there.
yeah, it does feel weird when there's nothing there. It does feel
Mhm.
you feel the deadness to it. It's
Yes.
just it's a gap, and there shouldn't be one here at this event.
Yeah.
Yep. So Chainsaw's back over in Springfield, supposedly.
Mhm.
Up in Diagon Alley, you can see the little Death Eaters logo to,
Mhm.
the surprise of nobody. That seems to be an attraction or a show element, scare, whatever, back up there. That doesn't seem to be anything different. That is what it is. It seems like it's going to be a staple, even though we rarely go into Diagon Alley during Horror Nights.
I feel like we've seen the Death Eaters maybe twice in the
Yep.
last however many years they've been bringing them.
And both times was for our scavenger hunt to take a picture with them.
I was going to say, I think we intentionally had to go over there too. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't go there by choice. It's just there's
Nah.
not much up there for us, and I don't
Mhm.
really care about the Death Eaters all too much.
Mhm.
The final little miniature black icon is over in San Francisco, and that seems to be headphones, signifying the return of Club Horror.
It sure does look like that, doesn't it?
I'm excited. I really liked it. I think they're going to make improvements on what we maybe didn't really like about it, which the list was pretty small. I
Mhm.
thought it was a very fun experience. I think that even though it was, a scare zone being omitted, it did fill with something. And I think it's a fun little area to kind of escape from. Even though it does get a little loud and bumping, it it is drastically different than walking through, say, Central Park's scare zone.
Yeah,
You can
that's true.
still tuck away and you can actually stand and
Mhm.
enjoy a conversation or a beer or something like that. I'm excited for that. And I did just notice a new little thing. We didn't even talk about it on the live. It's not a huge thing, but it's something else that's on the map that I didn't even notice.
Hmm.
I'm gonna zoom in just to see if I'm crazy or not.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's definitely a different. How do I? Ugh, I don't even know how to use the zoom on this stupid thing. Well, it doesn't really look like much when you zoom in because what I'm looking at is a little green square over in New York. And for me, that's kind of telling me that I think that icon might be signifying the tribute store. Maybe it's returning to its real spot now instead of in the arcade area. Because if you look at that mummy style building
Mhm.
on that New York strip, right, you see a little green ride vehicle, which signifies that the mummy will be open. To the
Mhm.
left of that is a little green square that is potentially like a bag or something, probably to signify shopping.
Oh, yeah, I see it. I was
See
just
that?
thinking what the little other green things would stand for, but they're the rides. You're right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
those are the
Okay.
rides. So as far as rides go, it looks like, and I'm doing this blind because it's just the
Mhm.
map; it doesn't label anything. It looks like probably Transformers, The Mummy, Escape from Gringotts, and Men in Black. I think those are the only ones that it's showing on the
Yeah.
map, which makes sense because we have no Rip Ride Rocket. You're not going to open up any of the Minions stuff. You're not going to open ET or
They won't
anything in
open
DreamWorks.
ET, sadly.
No Simpsons.
Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's
Yeah.
kind of interesting. That maybe it's just hopeful thinking. I don't know if that's.
Oh no, I think that would make the most sense. I
Yeah.
don't
Oh
see it.
God, I hope they
Yeah,
move that. I
I
hope they move that
know.
tribute store back because that was
I do.
a terrible, terrible decision. I know why they sort of had to do it, and it's nothing on the artists and designers that worked on the tribute store, but it was just the location absolutely killed it. It just felt like another store.
Mhm.
It didn't have the effect that a typical tribute store gives us, especially now that we're going and we're seeing the Mardi Gras store and how just amazing that's put together. That's what we expect. These like little miniature rooms, and they I was talking about it over the weekend, but can you just imagine how much money they lost out on that tribute store? There's no way the sales were what they usually are.
I am curious because as someone who loves to bop around in a store, I didn't find myself very much in the tribute store this year. And every time I would go in, it seemed like they still had a lot of like everything and a lot of stuff went on sale. It just sucks because they took out the whole arcade to put that in there. And I loved going and hanging out in the arcade sometimes because there wouldn't be too many people in there during horror nights. But it just felt like it was an extension of the Mummy store, pretty
Yeah.
much. Hmm.
Yeah, there was no like differing vibe. It just felt the same for me.
Hmm.
But imagine like all the money they would have made had they had like because they split the tribute store rooms up and they typically kind of theme them. Sometimes they theme them to the IPs, sometimes they make an original story, but they definitely seemingly put the merch in separate areas. But if they just had like a Terrifier themed room and a Five Nights themed room and a
Yeah.
WWE room,
Hmm.
they would have made so much more money. They missed out on so much sales. And I'm
Hmm.
curious if maybe they had that mindset of knowing maybe it's not going to be as good and visited as a tribute store, and maybe we got less fun, less cool merch than typical for certain IPs because it felt very like normie. Like there wasn't a lot of like crazy weird fun things. They had a couple like the Pip Boy for Fallout and those Five Nights at Freddy's retro cups. But other than that,
Hmm.
like they had a couple masks, they had some shirts, they had some smaller stuff, they had some posters, but nothing like super out of the ordinary or special for those IPs. They had the
Yeah.
WWE like sling bag, I think it was. But
Hmm.
I'm so curious about the story of this tribute store and what were the sales like? Did it differ from the previous say 3 years, for example?
Yeah.
And can you attribute that to it being not great?
Hmm.
I'm willing to bet that it had much less sales than in previous years.
Yeah.
But that is seemingly all of the miscellaneous stuff that is on this map. We're talking the scare zones, the street experiences, the shows, the rides, and the tribute store. That is
Hmm.
all sort of signified on this map for now. And I don't think any of those are surprises, really. we kind of would expect most, if not all of those things to come. I think the only thing that changed from last year is the tribute store being in its rightful location now. Everything else is the same as last year. Same scare zone locations, same street experiences in those spots. So that's nothing out of the norm. The two shows are obviously in the same spots. So there's really not much to discuss on those at this point. There's not a lot of rumors for that. Obviously, these come out a little bit later. I mean, shit, it's crazy how time flies. I mean, this fucking already
It's
almost
already
at February. It's
yeah.
crazy. I'm already feeling the pressure of like, oh shit, we're getting close. Even though like we're pretty far away, but still it feels like
we've got time, Nick, don't worry.
it doesn't feel like it. It feels like spring's around the corner, and that's one season closer to Horror Nights. I mean, once Mardi Gras wraps up, we're like in the home stretch.
It's like beginning of April.
Yeah, but like, then we have April, May, June, July. That's only, well, I guess August too, but that's 5 months. But like, stuff starts coming out more fast paced when it comes to rumors. We start seeing construction. We start getting some props out. I always forget the dates of when stuff starts hitting the streets, but once they start doing those like announcement videos, we get those shirt drops at 5 and Dime. It does feel like that is like a July-ish or a June-ish kind of thing. So we're not far out from like getting some like legit stuff. We're really not as far as it seems, because when you think HHN, it's like, oh, end of August, we're there. It's like, yes, but we have months of announcements. We have Spooky Empire, which they usually do a announcement at seemingly now. At this point, it's kind of tradition. So yeah, I mean, shit, we are definitely getting there. So with all that being said, let's get into these houses. We'll do what we normally do every time. We're going to take a stroll through the park, and we're going to start right up front. Right up front, Soundstage 22. This is the same icon that was on the Christmas style map, and that is a Jack in the Box with a little elf, and the elf is wearing the red and yellow. This is obviously hinting pretty heavily, or at least rumors would have you think, that this is hinting pretty heavily at the Jack versus Oddfellow style house, whether that's Jack the Oddfellow, whether it's old icons versus new icons, whether it's maybe two separate stories that maybe climax together. That sounds weird. Whether they finish together, whether the stories collide. The stories collide.
There you go.
If they're doing like, if you're following Jack for a little bit and then you follow Oddfellow and then they kind of, here they go, they meet. That's seemingly what this is signifying. Is that sort of something you're thinking? Because the Oddfellow colors are obviously the red and the yellow, so that's why that elf or little guy is colored that way. Is that something that's you view as a shoo-in at this point?
Yeah, I would think so. And obviously my eyesight's not very great when it comes into zooming in on these little maps sometimes, because I was like, oh, this looks like a Christmas icon, like a little Jack in the Box with a Santa hat. Or the Santa hat.
Is.
And then I looked in on it, and it's a little jester hat, so I'm silly. I didn't realize that's what it was. But it could look Christmassy. But Jack versus Oddfellow
it was from the Christmas map, too. So, like, it
oh, true. Yeah.
They were playing with that on the Christmas map and just kept the icon, because why not? It's pretty on the nose. But I'm willing to bet that this is some iteration of Jack or Oddfellow, probably both. I think this is probably the second highest for percentage in my mind of it being on here and in the map. This was on our guess map. This was our way too early predictions. This is something we've talked about since 32. When we saw Oddfellow for the first time, I was like, okay, well, we got anniversary coming up in a couple of years. Obviously, they're going to have to hash out their problems at some point, because Oddfellow, his lore is deeply buried, but it does start at that house where Jack originated. I think at 10. Oddfellow was just a little blurb at that point. Maybe he appeared in the house, maybe he didn't. We'll never know. It's so hard to find photo evidence back then, because it's just people weren't doing it then. I think it's got to be here. It would be cool that that's in a soundstage, though.
And I was just gonna say, it's funny that they have an original over on the soundstage area, but it's also funny that we seemingly are more confident in an original before we are with an IP this time around, or this year. But I mean, I guess
Yeah.
we've gotten the reveals that spooky being original houses or original ideas usually, so I guess it's not too out of left field. But yeah, it's interesting to see though if it will be like a Jack versus Oddfellow, or like you mentioned, a kind of like the old versus new icon, something like that would be kind of cool too.
Would you, and I asked the same question to Shamus, and I
Mhm.
forget both of our answers, but would you prefer it Jack versus Oddfellow, or would you prefer like an old versus new with multiple characters?
I think it could go either way. I think it'd be fun with multiple characters. I think there'd be a lot going on because I feel like it would be a little bit more like the Icon's house, how each icon kind of had their own room sort of deal. But I feel like with Jack and Oddfellow, since they're both in that circus kind of realm, ideology, whatever, however you want to say it, just that theming, I feel like it would be more fluid in a house.
It would be fun to kind of have this be a time piece
Mhm.
of multiple times and jump around. We obviously saw for Oddfellow's year him bouncing around to all these different decades, and I forget them all, but obviously Vamp 69, the Shipyard 32, the Jungle of Doom, like they were all these different time frames as well. So it'd be kind of cool to see maybe some of that as, you know, through Oddfellow's eye. I'm curious how they would convey the story. We've been pitching since we saw Oddfellow Civil War, right? All these characters, throw them all together. Can that actually work in a house, or is it just going to be for cheap pops? You know, is it going to, because as much as we enjoyed Icons Captured, it really was just a best of compilation house. You go into one room, okay, this is the usher. You go in the next room, okay, that's the director. Next room, oh, caretaker. Cool, cool, cool. It's really fun, but it doesn't really advance any stories. It's just a simple best of, look at this guy, here you go. So I think if I had to choose, I would choose just Jack and Oddfellow, as long as it told a story that we could understand. If the story is a little too in depth, then fuck it, bring everybody out, throw everybody in the ring, turn this thing into a Royal Rumble, and just go from there. I would be surprised if this stays in Soundstage 22, which I don't think it will, because locations are tricky. They're very rarely correct on the first couple maps, just because it's more of a guessing game. But if they did have it there, it would be really cool if the intro scare zone was somehow tied to that, because that would kind of be one of the houses you would lead to by going through there. And they typically do that intro zone as sort of the tone setter. It's not a lot of story, but it gives you a little something of maybe the event or a house. Last year, The Origins of Horror obviously ties into El Artista, and it has some of the similar characters and the vibe. The year before, we had Sinister and Surreal kind of up there, introducing themselves to the crowd. So I could see this also being a Jack and Oddfellow kind of zone where they maybe split time or duke it out or whatever. Oddfellow was up in the front as well for his year. Pumpkin Lord, big Halloween year, 31, he was up front. So if this house is there, I would imagine that front scare zone is going to tie into the house in some capacity. You think that would make sense?
I think it would make sense, and I think it would be fun too. I just really miss having Jack around. I miss seeing him in a house. I miss seeing him out bopping around. So really, really hoping this is true, because we're really hyping it up and it's getting me excited.
Yeah, I think Jack will be there.
Yeah.
He's going to be here every anniversary unless they decide to kill him. Do you want them to kill him? Are you done? Like, you just said you're excited with Jack. I could leave him for a
I'll
bit.
never be done with Jack. No, I can't leave him, actually. No.
I'm good with him.
I
didn't
like
grow up with seeing him, though.
correct. Yeah. I feel like even locally commercials here and stuff like that, when we'd see him on TV, he'd be the big face of the commercials. So it was always fun to see him.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, let's move along now to the next location. That would be 23A. And this is a little book on fire. And I guess I should have noted, we're talking Orlando here. We don't really talk about Hollywood. Some of these icons are on both Hollywood and Orlando. I'll try to pull up when we're discussing this the Hollywood map just to make note of ones that are on both, because typically that signifies IP, because they wouldn't necessarily share an original. But let me pull up Hollywood's too, just so that way we can be sure of something. The icon that we just discussed, the 22, Jack versus Oddfellow or whatever, they do have an icon that's similar over on Hollywood's. It is a Jack in the Box. It's the same thing, but the little elf guy has different colors. And a lot of the rumors have been that that's a Jack versus Hollywood Harry house. So we don't need to talk about it. We don't go to Hollywood. I don't know anything about Hollywood. I'm not gonna.
I
The
wish we
last thing
did.
you want to hear is my I don't, from the pictures and videos. I don't think we're missing much. So I don't need to. I don't need to pretend like I know anything about Hollywood. I fucking barely know stuff about Orlando. The way stuff escapes my mind, it's just, it comes and goes so fast. But the 23A, the book burning, that one is also on Hollywood's. So that does sort of tell us they think this is an IP. So do you have, and I'm sure you've heard what we've talked about already, but what are your thoughts on this, or what did you think this could be?
Well, before I had heard your and Shamus's idea, which sounded more logical than mine, I was hoping this was going to be a Silent Hill house. I don't know, just the burning and the ashes in the town, and the book sort of reminded me of Silent Hill. So that was all I kind of really had for that one. Other than... Go ahead, sorry.
I would say there was a couple other things. There was people still trying to reach, because there seemingly isn't something on here signifying anything Resident Evil. This was something that people were also trying to maybe grasp at straws, because they don't want to admit defeat when something seemingly falls off of a speculation map. This is one of those where people are like, well, it could. And I think I even brought it up. I think in Resident Evil, like when you save the game as kind of on a typewriter, or you log your journal or whatever, could be. But I think the rumor that stands out the most, or the strongest, is that of Evil Dead Burns. It is a new Evil Dead movie. It's a standalone. It's not a sequel. It's its own thing, I believe. It comes out, I think, in late July. And obviously the book seemed kind of hinting towards I always fuck the name up, but the Necronomicon. I think that's Necronomicon, like that. And obviously the fire signifying burn. It's a movie that I believe still doesn't have a trailer out yet. We don't know much about it, so it's really hard to comment. We do know that we were supposed to have Evil Dead Rise all those years ago, and that flipped into Hellblock Horror. They still had it in Hollywood, but we stripped it. I think the movie got pushed, and that's why it dropped off. I could take this or leave it. I'd rather leave it, honestly. I like Evil Dead. I like those first kind of movies. 1, 2, Army of Darkness. Ash vs. Evil Dead, I never really watched the show that much. I know we had it at Horror Nights. The Evil Dead Rise, I thought was fun, but it's not something that I typically revisit. I've probably not watched it since the one and only time we watched it all those years ago. It's not something to me that screams house. We need it. I don't know how big of a deal this movie is going to be. I don't know if it's going to have the lasting power that people think it might have. It just seems like a weird property to have at a pretty prolific year, an anniversary year. I know they come every 5 years, but still, it's not a year that I expect these like kind of random IPs. But what are your thoughts?
I mean, I feel like we can't say we get random IPs anymore because we got a friggin' Quiet Place, and I feel like that was the most random thing we've ever gotten in my entire life at Horror Nights.
It is, but I would also say the same thing if that was speculated here, just those other years are kind of like, you can sort of take a chance on stuff, but anniversary years, I feel like they really want to encapsulate the best of the best.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the only thing that kind of makes me think we couldn't get this is because, like you said before, we were supposed to have the Evil Dead Rise. Is that what they all confuse me? Because then they just dropped the name for the other one that's supposed to be coming out too. So they all got me confused.
Yeah, because they put that. Yeah, it's got into Evil Dead Wrath. I think is already put into production or something.
Because after I'd listened to a little bit of the live you did, I was like, oh yeah, they actually ended up dropping the trailer. And you were like, no, that's for the next one coming out. And I was like, oh my God, another one. But I think it would be cool. I think it would be something different. I feel like that's something in an anniversary year that I like to see. If we're getting something that's repeating, I would like for it to be an original because it's fun to have like throwback houses like that. But if it's IP related, I would like for it to be something new. So, I mean, obviously it's tough with something like this too, because I got to see the movie to know if I'm going to like it. I liked Evil Dead Rise. I thought it was pretty good. I think I've watched it a couple more times afterwards than Nick has, but I didn't think it was bad. I think that one can make for a house. I'm sure this one will be pretty good. Like I said, don't really know what I'm in for with it, so it's tough to say if it would fit for a house.
That's the hardest thing, right? It's just, we don't know. Maybe this is the coolest fucking movie ever.
Yeah, right? Literally.
Who knows? What if this bombs and you have a haunted house a month after?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's tricky. It's kind of like The Exorcist Believer.
Well, look at Exorcist Believer. Exactly.
Yeah, but that goes to show, I guess, you can make a really good house out of a bad movie.
I mean, that's how you felt about Us.
It is how I feel about Us. I think the house I loved that house. Do not like the movie.
Love them both around here. It's all right.
So, it does happen. They could blow us away, right? Like you said, you brought up The Exorcist. I loved that house. One of the scariest ones of the year.
It was.
I'd never even finished the movie.
Never finished the movie, me either.
55 minutes in, and I was just like, maybe I'll come back to it. I never did. I've never felt the need to fire up Evil Exorcist Believer.
Sometimes I forget it even existed. That sounds really mean to say, but
I pretend it doesn't exist. I willingly push it out of my brain that it does not exist. It's not part of the Exorcist franchise, in my opinion. We'll move along now, I think. That's a good part. Let's move along to the other property that I was sort of alluding to when I said there's about two things on here I feel about 100% on, and I've felt 100% since day one. This is Soundstage 23B. This is an upside-down clock. What could that possibly be? Group exercise, everybody listening, on the count of three. If you're in your car, if you're at work, on the count of three, say what you think this house is. 1, 2, 3. Stranger Things 5. Now, God damn it, Jamie, you ruined everything. Stranger Things 5. Come on, it's got to happen. They've done the first one. They did 2 and 3 together. They did the fourth one. Whether we want it or not,
you have
that's
to complete
a whole different
it.
Discussion.
You have to complete it to run at HHN.
You kind of do. This is on the Hollywood map as well, to no surprise. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. We've talked on this podcast about Stranger Things so much from all the different years of coverage. We'll probably do, I know when the season was coming out, we talked about doing a season recap, and we just never got around to it. That's a pretty big undertaking because that season was like 14 hours long. I'm sure we'll do that at some point if or when this ever gets announced that it's official, it's legit. But yeah, it's tricky because I love the series. I didn't love season 5 as much as the others. I thought it was fine. I thought it was pretty good, but not as good as some of the others. I really enjoyed 3. Obviously, 1 is a classic. 4 is probably the best. This one is somewhere in there, I guess. Would you prefer this to be just Stranger Things 5, or would you want, or if you could pick, I guess, Stranger Things 5 or sort of a compilation house of everything with bits of 5 in there?
Stranger Things 5. Just the season in itself. I mean, it would probably add more to the house if you were kind of to do a mashup of the other seasons, because I do see them finding difficulties maybe in doing this house just by where a lot of it takes place in this season, and that kind of arid, upside down, kind of earthy, rocky area, which we've kind of seen that like sand pit kind of room and stuff that they've done in the previous Stranger Things house, and it kind of,
we saw something, that's for sure.
We saw something, yeah. So that's my only worry, is that maybe it would be kind of hard to I mean, I don't underestimate the capabilities of their creative team and all that kind of stuff. Not what I'm saying at all. Just would like for them to have more to work with, and I think that would obviously mean they would have to be using all the seasons and kind of do like a best of or compilation. But maybe they could do that and have like the first house be a compilation of the seasons and then the second half just be for season 5. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Be interesting.
Yeah.
I'm a little nervous that if they do just season 5, I feel like the door is still 1% open for Stranger Things to come back as a compilation series house.
Oh, you
Maybe
think
not
so?
the year
Okay.
after, but down the road, I think it leaves it open a little bit to be like, you know what?
Mm.
Say they did it in 3 years after. Maybe this was HHN38 or something. I could see them being like, you know what? Let's just do a whole series house for Stranger Things. Because at that point, it will have been, God, when did they have Stranger Things 1? Was that 29?
28,
28, 20, whatever,
28?
whichever one it was.
27, 28?
Yeah, whichever one it was.
Mm.
At that point, it'll have been almost 10 event years since we saw like season 1 stuff.
Mhm.
So they might want to, you know what, pencil that in. Whatever
they forgot about this stuff. They're not going to remember.
whatever the 10-year anniversary of the first house, I bet they do
Yeah.
a compilation of it.
I could see that.
10 years since we first saw it, and they bring everything back.
But it's like, man, if they're going to be doing like a resurgence or like a house like that, I would just love them to explore like other Netflix properties. I know they got it, and like I feel like Hill House was received pretty well, and it kind of sucks that we had it during that COVID year because I'd love to see them do like a Midnight Mass house or a Haunting a Bly Manor house, something like that. You just got a lot to work with. So, I mean, if they love using the Stranger Things series, I mean, you got other horror series you could use too.
Yeah, it's just, I'm going to try to pull this up because it's going to drive me insane when the first year
I
was.
figured,
But yeah,
I was
so
gonna say.
what are some scenes from Stranger Things 5 that you think might make it in or could make it in?
And see, that's where I find it hard to kind of think of what scenes I could even want to see in the house because I feel like a lot of the peak scenes, like kind of when Holly and Max are going through the upside down and kind of going down into her bedroom through the upside down through like the little merry-go-round at the park and like them crawling through the middle of the cave cavern wall. And I mean, you would have to have the Henry's house since you could see it now, but even if, like you said, I feel like we gotta kind of rewatch all these too because they were very long and a lot to take in, and I feel like it's
There's
been
a
a little
lot.
bit now since we've seen them. But I mean, it'd be fun to have the Krill house. It'd be fun to have the Wheeler house. I think we talked about it before that obviously you would have to have the scene with Mrs. Wheeler slashing up the Demogorgon. What else?
You could do some stuff in the caves, I guess, with young Henry.
Yeah, and like I said again too, I just
The
wouldn't want it
radio
to be
station
all the samey kind of
atmosphere.
what's the word I'm looking for? I guess atmosphere, but terrain. I don't know the word. You guys know what I'm trying to say. Setting. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So it was 29. The first year was at HHN 39
Dang, was it
or
really?
38, something like that, because it'll have been 10 event years or 10 years. You just pencil it in. I'm sure it'll come back at some point. So I'm sure we'll talk about this plenty of times in the future. So I think it's just best to move along and talk about something that is new to this speculation map. This icon, I don't believe was on the last one. It could be also referencing something that maybe was still sort of referenced on the first map, but this is not on Hollywood's map. This is Soundstage 24B, and it looks to be what is a dog paw print. Now, some people have said it could be a cat dog print. I believe this is a dog paw print just because of the size of it. Maybe they just blew it up. I don't know, but usually the cat prints are a little bit smaller. There's a couple different options on this thing. One being, if it is a cat Lady of Crooked Lane. That's pretty on the nose. This could also be referencing Havoc, Dogs of War, which was something that was sort of alluded to on the previous spec map with the Huntsville Havoc. This is also could potentially be a animal original of sorts, whether that's a zoo, cryptid, or hybrid.
Animal original. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Kind of cool. You know what I immediately thought of? I thought of Fallout, and I was like, there's no way they're gonna bring Fallout again with a dog. That's kind of what I thought of. But
yeah, Fallout would be a wild pick if they went back to that. I don't think that's what it is, but I mean, you never know. But this is also, we have to sort of go under the assumption that this is an original
Oh,
because
okay,
it's not
okay.
on Hollywood's map.
Gotcha.
A lot of people were talking about, because there was a zoo themed haunted house at Knott's, I believe, in the past, or maybe this past
Last year.
season. It was like a zoo based house or something along those lines.
Looked real cool.
Which this necessarily wouldn't be the first time something might have inspired HHN from over there. I know the Mutations Toxic 20s, they've had some sort of toxic or some sort of 20s oriented thing over in Knott's. Again, that's an event we have never been to, nor do we cover, so I don't know what they have going on over there as much as HHN, but have heard people talk about that. I'm curious. So out of those three, I guess, if it's Cat Lady, Havoc, or a straight up animal original, which would you sort of lean towards?
I think I would lean towards Havoc. I think. Go ahead.
I think that might be where it's going, but if I had to pick what I would want, I would prefer just a straight up original related to animals in some sort of shape or form.
Yeah, that would be cool too. But then again, seeing dead animals makes me sad sometimes, so I don't want
Well, they don't have to be dead.
I don't want it to be a sad house.
They'll be attacking us.
Yeah, well, you know what? Good point.
We'd be dead. This could go, because with the animal original, it could go a couple different ways. Like I said, it could be like some sort of demented zoo sort of thing where they're breaking out or whatever. Cryptids, we could kind of maybe just go into a whole cryptid thing, which is something we've been doing a lot of. We had Galkin, which is more mythology, but sort of creatures of the north, monsters of the north. We had Chupacabra. We also had the monsters of Latin America, Monstros. So it'd be kind of cool to tackle that world. Obviously, we've had Yeti in both iterations. One was more Bigfoot than Yeti, but still went with the Yeti tagline.
Yeah.
Hybrids, some sort of like weird animal hybrids, which is
in
something
Animorph's house.
A what?
In Animorph's house.
Animorphs, which is kind of what they were attempting in the Jungle of Doom scare zone, if you remember that from a couple years ago. Yeah. They were all like supposedly half morphed animals or whatever.
That'd be fun.
So something like that. I mean, maybe it's a werewolf or a some sort of print like that, where it could be like what was the thing from?
It's funny you said that too, because I was like, you said a dog print. I was like, what if it's like a wolf print? Like it could be like a werewolf. But then again, I feel like maybe they would put like the little like claw marks in there. But then again, that could look like a bear print, I feel like.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, what was the Slaughter Cinema biker werewolf thing?
I wouldn't remember that. Was that from the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't know the first one.
I'll check on that. But
that's fun, though.
Like you said, would you want like maybe the Animorph? So you're stuck on. You would like to see Havoc come back.
I think it'd be fun because I did one of the Havoc iterations of it before when they have had it, and I do recall it being pretty scary. But an Animorphs kind of house would be fun too.
Yeah, Devil Dogs is what I was thinking of.
Oh yeah. Oh well,
Dogs.
that could be a thing too. Yeah.
So that could be a little hint at that as well. Yeah, Havoc seems like a weird one because obviously it's an HHN original. It's been here twice before in some iteration. But it's not something that I necessarily think of as like one of those upper echelon Horror Nights originals that is going to be like, you know what we need this year? We need a Havoc house. Fan favorite. It's like, it doesn't seem, you hear people talk about, Castle Vampire, you talk about Curse of Lightning Gulch, Scarecrow, Dead Man's, stuff like that, Graveyard Games. Those are the things that people always talk about. Now, maybe they have an idea that fits for this that would make it kind of that much more important. Maybe they can transition this into sort of a crossover-y style house, whether it's with, because I think in the Havoc storyline, there's something along with like the Shady Brook or something like, but you could do something where maybe they have to go to Shady Brook and use the Havoc Dogs of War to protect or unleash the inmates or something like that. So that's a possibility because we've seen the crossover of body collectors in Shady Brook in the past. Maybe Havoc could tie in somewhere into past HHN as well.
That would be cool. And I do
Yeah.
think it would be an interesting choice, though, like you said, of all the originals that have been so profoundly liked and still talked about, that they would pick that one.
Yeah, it does seem a little out of left field. So let's move along now. So now we're at Soundstage 24A, which is on both maps, on Hollywood and Orlando. So that is signifying IP. It also is probably the longest standing rumor that we've had for this year so far, in that the picture is a pincushion or a hat. I don't know. You could really convince me either way. And there's pins sticking out of it. It's very on the nose, obviously alluding to Pinhead and Hellraiser coming to the event. Are you bought in on this because it's been around for so long, or are you still like, wait and see?
I'm kind of a little bought in on it, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm a little, maybe just because it has been on there a couple times, and now I'm kind of starting to get into my head, like, we haven't seen Hellraiser before. It would be something new for an anniversary year. They can make it work. I could kind of see them going the route of doing a Hellraiser universe, like how we saw with the Jason universe. So I'm intrigued. I'm getting a little reeled in.
Yeah. I forget all the ones that I pointed to, but I remember when we were doing our guest map episode, one of the little criterias or trends that I've seen at anniversary years is there's seemingly a big horror IP that has never appeared before. Now, I forget down the list, but I believe the last couple events there's been something. I think 30 was obviously Beetlejuice, something like that. Like we haven't had that Beetlejuice house. So this would kind of fit into that category as well. I'd have to start rewatching this series. It's been a very long time. It's not a movie that I often went back to as far as watching. There's a bunch of films. I forget the count. I think it's either 11 or 13. I think it's 11 total films in the series, not all connected, obviously with the newest Hellraiser being sort of a reboot of sorts or a reimagining. I would only hope, for selfish reasons, I've said this before, that maybe this is a contained Hellraiser 1 or contained like Hellraiser 1 and 2, something that is that I don't have to watch a bunch of shit.
Nah, that's too easy. It's gonna be all of them.
Fucking better not be. I think it would be smart to just rein it in, pick one, maybe two, and be able to do it, because you look at something like last year with Jason Universe. I don't think it's a completely fair comparison, because we've seen Jason in houses before. He had his own house. He also had Freddy versus Jason. So like you can sort of play the hits a little bit. But with this, I think to do the franchise justice, you want to have it less montagey, less best ofs. Just give us a contained story that we can sort of follow and take in. I know that kind of comes off of the heels of Terrifier as well, being sort of a best of compilation thing. But I view that sort of a little bit differently because it's only 3 films. So it's a little bit easier to play the hits without it becoming too wild. And they did theme it in a sense that made sense. Like we're walking into the Terrifier funhouse, Art has taken over, and he's doing all of his best things. I will watch these again soon, just so that way I can have a fresh mindset on these and talk about specific things I want to see pulled. But Pinhead is one of those upper echelon horror icons. You know, you have your Mount Rushmore. I think I talked about this on the live. You have your Mount Rushmore of really probably Freddy, Michael, Jason, and I'd say Leatherface is probably your tier 1 Mount Rushmore. But your tier 2 is kind of all around. Like you could throw Ghostface on there, probably Chucky. I would say Pinhead, and then maybe like Candyman or something like that. I think that's maybe that number 2 as far as popularity. People know what Pinhead is, even if they haven't seen all the movies, or they don't even know that the movie's called Hellraiser. They know that image.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
I don't know if you've seen a lot of them or any of them or some of them.
I've only seen the
not
first
really a
one.
Franchise. Okay, so it's not something we really watch all too often.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I know I don't, but you're always watching random shit in other rooms or on your phone or something. So. So yeah, again, much like Stranger Things, we don't have to talk about this too much because it is a fairly long-standing rumor, and I don't want to get too bored of it too quickly by talking about it every single week for the next 6 months. So let's just move along now. So now we are at the Fast and Furious location. Did you hear us talk about this location on the live at all? Did you get to that point?
Possibly. I'm not quite sure.
Okay, well, can you see what that image is?
Is this the here, hold on. I'm sorry.
So this is up at the Fast and Furious.
This is the Oregon motorcycle.
I guess it does kind of look like a motorcycle.
What did you think it was? It looks like a bunch of intestines in the shape of a bike, like a motorcycle.
Yeah, so I got the intestines part, but I didn't go for shape.
No? Okay.
This is also not on Hollywood, so we can assume this is an original.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of said it, intestines, also known as guts.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also blood on them.
Yeah, true. Blood and guts, but I wouldn't get my hopes up for him. Unfortunately.
Blood and guts.
This reminded me of like the Terra Queen's bike and the organs and her kind of minions and stuff like that.
That's interesting.
Yes.
I had never even thought of that.
That's what it reminded me of, because it looks like it could be a bike. And
it does kind of look like that now that you bring it up.
Yeah, and she does kind of have that like big scythe thing, and that's what it kind of looked like at the bottom to me. I was like, maybe that's one of the minions' bikes or whatever that they ride in on.
Yeah, could be. I forget the name of them, but we've seen them before.
I do too. I know, and I should know.
Her bike, I believe, is on display right now too at this new Universal exhibit that they have in maybe New York.
It is. I think it's in New York or Philadelphia, something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, so you don't want to get your hopes up that it's your boy Blood and Guts.
I don't.
If it is, and I believe the Bone Choppers are the people that ride the bikes.
There we go. Okay.
To the Gorewood Forest to kind of bring back the offerings, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We did a big episode on that years and years ago, and it's all gone out of my brain. This was sort of a rumor last year. The whole it was a very small rumor. It never seemed to catch much steam, but the rumor last year, I believe, was some sort of Carrie TV show, Carrie, Ohio. Would you want it to go that route? Would you want it to be something similar to his house at 21, where it was, I believe, Holidays of Horror?
Mm-hmm.
Where would you take HR Blood and Guts if you could pick a story for him?
I think we've kind of talked about it before. I forget which episode it was on. As much as I loved that house and I really enjoy holiday themed houses, especially like anthology kind of houses, I would like to see something different with him. And I'd really like to see them go like a Late Night with the Devil vibe, kind of like that talk show TV host kind of vibe. I think that'd be super fun. And if this was supposedly where the house was supposed to be for him, I think this would be a very good setting because it's that industrial style. And I feel like you could kind of do like a TV set out of those like low ceilings and stuff like that and make it kind of look very, how I'm trying to explain it, but yeah.
Yeah, I think if they did do it, this is a perfect location. I don't think this is, with an original, you can dictate what direction you go in regards to what scale you need. We were a little nervous with Major Suites because we're like, I picture this giant factory. Like, we need space, we need height. Like, how is it? And the way they told it was more of this very dingy, grungy, dirty, small industrial plant. I think the same could be done for Blood and Guts.
Yeah, for sure.
I would hope they would do that kind of rip-off Late Night with the Devil, do like a talk show host. I don't know where you go from that, whether it's different styles, maybe, because he did
a game
with
show
the Holidays
cool.
of Horror, it was kind of compilation-y. You could do like 70s talk show. You could do today's talk show. You could do news anchors. You could do game show, which if they did game show, you could kind of tie Run into it. You could be like HR Blood and Guts presents the return of Run, or something like that. Because that's another little HHN staple that we haven't seen in a bit. I think maybe 25 was the last time we saw a Run house, if I'm not mistaken.
That sounds about right.
And even that was sort of compilation-y because each room was like a different I think it was a different country with a different style, because I think there was like a Canadian room with like chainsaws and
Uh-huh.
a German room and stuff like that. So it's something that still, if they chose to do that, fits in this location pretty well.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not going to get sold on locations though, because they
Right.
shift.
Unless they were to mix HR Blood and Guts with like meets meat, I feel like that's kind of in the same realm of like Carrie and stuff like that too. Don't know why he'd be working for a meat plant, but you could put a real cool meat factory in this location as well. That's what I was thinking
That could be the Hell's Kitchen version of the TV experience.
There
He
you
could
go.
be doing a segment
Mhm.
from Meaty Meats himself. The only thing I would be a little worried about Meaty Meats, and I'd love for it to happen,
Mhm.
but I would want it to be a little bit different than the house that we got at 30, the Welcome to Scary. I'd like it to be less compilation-y
Yeah.
all over the place. I'd like it to be a fun HR Blood and Guts center show.
Mhm.
Give him the time to shine, because he got that little room in Scary as well. And I don't even remember. We must have seen him. Was he in there?
No, it was just
As a
like
character, right?
it was just like the showroom. Yeah, they had like the Easter Bunny pop out and something else, but that was his room with the like
Yeah, but
on-air
'cause
sign
it
and
wasn't
stuff.
him though.
No, he wasn't in there.
Yeah, because I think
If
maybe
he
there was
was,
a TV playing
I
with
could be
some stuff.
terribly mistaken, but I'm pretty sure they just had the Easter Bunny maybe, but they had that like on-air sign. It was a quick room, and then you walked around the corner and there was like the dressing room rack and stuff, but it wasn't very much in that unfortunately.
No, yeah. So I think anniversary year, perfect time to dust him off.
Mhm.
I do. So
Yeah.
that's my thoughts on Fast and Furious, the old blood and guts. So let's move along now. We're moving all the way to the back tents, and we're gonna wrap this map up.
To the back.
Tent 4, one of the new tent locations still. This is 2 cigarettes and a lighter. The rumor is still kicking around for Sinners.
That's just so crazy to me. I don't know why it just seems so like unrealistic to me. Not unrealistic, because I know they can make it happen, but it just seems like such a big like too new. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of new stuff too, though. You know, we've seen that happen. Obviously,
Yeah.
we've seen stuff pretty hot off the heels.
Mhm.
At this point, when Horror Nights starts, it will have been released a year and a half or so after, because I think it came out in like May.
Yeah. True.
So
True.
it'll have been some time, but it is obviously in the news now. It is up for, I believe, 16 Oscars at the Academy Awards as the record. It's the most ever nominated film.
It's awesome.
I forget what award show just happened.
It
might have been the SAG Awards.
afterwards.
SAG afterwards. Wumi Masaku won Best Supporting Actress, which is pretty interesting because I didn't think she was gonna win at the Academy Awards, but now it's sort of maybe tipping in her favor a little bit. So that would be cool if she could get Best Supporting Actress for her role in Sinners. Same sort of thing is kind of happening in the Best Supporting Actor role. I think at the, not to go off on like a movie tangent, but I think at the SAG Awards, I believe Sean Penn won for his role in One Battle After Another. And I'm curious if him and Benicio in One Battle, I'm curious if their votes are going to sort of cancel out a little bit, and Delroy Lindo can score a Best Supporting Actor for his role in Sinners. I don't know. It's a real interesting race for the Academy Awards, because I thought it was going to be clean sweeps for One Battle After Another, but now it seems like Sinners is maybe picking up a little steam. So it would be wild if we did have an Oscar potential winning house at Horror Nights, which is something I don't believe we've seen. I think only 7 horror movies have ever been nominated for Best Picture, and the only one to win, I think, was Silence of the Lambs. I forget the other pictures that were nominated. Substance, Jaws, Sixth Sense, The Exorcist, and there's a couple more I'm missing, but it's interesting. It's a select few. That's how it is. So yeah, this is tough. It's a movie I love. It makes me nervous as a house. I do get nervous because What Sinners has going for it as a movie is the heartfelt storylines, multiples, not just one. That's hard to convey in a haunted house. Not that it needs to, but it's hard. It's a deeply sensitive movie, obviously dealing with a lot of race issues. And just from a execution standpoint, the majority of what I think this house would pull from is really only the tail end of the movie. Once you get to the juke joint.
Because I was even just going to say, too, I just feel like maybe I can't see it because I feel like, and not saying this is I feel like it's too people-y. I feel like you don't really see those really cool vampire creature designs till like the end half of the movie. So like,
And that's, yeah.
And like you said, if they're going to do it, it would make most sense to start at the juke joint and kind of use those scenes from then on, because it would be a lot of human characters in a house, which nothing wrong with it. They've done it before, but then again, even with A Quiet Place, you had the big gigantic creatures, even though they were the puppets and stuff like that. You still had something to work with, I guess.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'd love to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm curious what they would do with it. I think that it could potentially be a letdown if it doesn't execute it properly. There's just I think there's a lot of things that could go wrong in this house, but it also could go very right. So I guess we will have to wait and see how that sort of plays out for us. But it's exciting. It's something that's fresh. It's new. It's a kind of a gamble, right? If it doesn't win any Oscars, does the buzz on the movie drop? Do people forget about it? I say that kind of jokingly because I don't think you're going to necessarily forget about it. But on the flip side, if it wins a handful of Oscars, it's going to be maybe re-released in theaters for IMAX. I don't know what they have on IMAX screens in the next couple months, but if this thing wins Best Picture or something like that, I could see them wanting to do a IMAX re-release. I feel like they've done that in the past with other Oscar movies, especially if there's not many big movies on the slate at the time. Say, hey, let's throw Sinners on there for a week and just get a couple extra bucks out of it. So I'd be excited, but I'm nervous. Is that kind of the same mindset that you're at with Sinners?
Pretty much, yeah. Like with at that point, would the hype already be down for it, like you said? I mean, I don't really think it would matter if they didn't win the awards or anything like that, but I don't know. I feel like I wouldn't mind having the house. I really enjoyed the movie, but I would just be worried for it design-wise, layout-wise.
Yeah, it's tough, and those tent locations, they got better last year. They're still, I think, trying to figure out how to place everything to utilize that space to its maximum capabilities. So let's move along now to tent number 3. This is a pretty divisive one. Oh, I did forget to say, the cigarettes and the lighter is on the Hollywood map as well. So that signifies IP. And then this one is also on the Hollywood map. So again, signifying potentially an IP. The biggest rumor that is swirling from this image is Lady Gaga. I believe there's a song on one of her albums, Mayhem, or a single that's like the Dead Dance or the Dead Art of Dance. I'm not whatever her fans are called. I'm not one of them.
A little monster.
A little monster. I'm not a little monster. No offense.
If that's what they still go by, her fans, I would assume so. That was it back in the day.
I mean, it fits. That fits for horror nights, that's for sure. Little monsters. What are your thoughts? Because I'm not super familiar. It's kind of like when The Weeknd came.
I like Lady Gaga. I feel like Lady Gaga was pretty peak for my middle school going into high school days, so I did listen to her quite often. I feel like it would kind of be in the same boat as The Weeknd. I feel like if someone was to say, would you or could you see a Weeknd house or a Lady Gaga house fit better for Halloween Horror Nights, I would probably say Lady Gaga, just because some of her music videos and whatnot have been a little bit darker, I guess, and she kind of has explored that horror-esque side. So I could see it working, honestly, and I do love a music-themed house. I think it would be very fun. I think they could really slow down and like kind of reverb a lot of her songs and make it fit in the house, because a lot of them are normally kind of upbeat, more pop hits, which is fine too. So is The Weeknd's, but I don't know. I could see this working. I really could. I feel like it'd be very theatrical house, kind of like how we saw with The Weeknd. But I do think we would have characters to use and stuff like that too. Again, I'm not a huge Lady Gaga stan, but I do like her and I like her music. So
I like her acting.
and I like her
I like
acting,
her-
and she's a great actress too. Yeah, exactly.
American Horror Story, Star is Born.
Yeah.
We pretend that Joker Folie à Deux didn't happen,
Mhm.
but that's
Still
not her fault.
Still need to see that.
Nope, don't need to see it. I'm never going to see it. I'm just going to pretend like the Exorcist believer that movie never happened. I all of my thoughts, I think, just stem right to The Weeknd. It was announced, and I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't see it. I don't listen to him. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Jeez.
And it worked. It worked very well. I think this could be a similar thing where you're going to see a pretty big uproar of people upset, and you're probably going to see it's going to be divided sides, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have people that are very against it and people that are very for it.
Mhm.
I think I'm in the minority of the people in the middle that I just don't care. If it happens, as long as it's a good house, cool. I'm excited for it, but I can't hype myself up on it yet without knowing too much about it, because I just have no idea.
Yeah.
It's who knows. It's a big question mark for me right now. I'm not necessarily against having Lady Gaga's house, but I question in which way are they going to do it. I need to see what direction they want to choose, and maybe kind of like The Weeknd. Maybe I just zip through her music videos and I'll have a better feel for it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And do a little research.
But yeah, so that is there. Any other thoughts on Lady Gaga? I think we kind of went through her a little bit quicker because it's the most sort of unknown.
And I feel like, I was going to say, I feel like you can't really say too much about it. But you said this is on both maps, yes? So it's probably
This
an
is,
IP?
yes.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
was trying to think of other things maybe it could be, but no. Yeah. I think
Nothing.
no, nothing coming to mind.
Got nothing. All right, let's move along to tent number 2, the old sprung tents now. Tent number 2, it's a little alien guy wearing a cowboy
Wearing
hat.
a cowboy hat? Cowboys versus aliens?
Could be.
Would make for such a fun house.
It would.
God, it'd be cool.
Makes me nervous a year after Hatchet and Chains, though.
No.
I love my Western stuff, but I also like non-repetition. I would probably be asking for another Western house in 2 years. Back-to-back years is a little, and we had a small Hatchet room in Slaughter Cinema 2, so it would literally be 3 years of something Western within those 2 sprung tents.
So I think it would be cowboys in space, not aliens in Cowboy Town. I think we would. I think
they're gonna ride the fucking horses
in
up to
Cowboy
space.
Town. Hey, you never know. That's why I think it can make for a really fun, unique, cool house. And I'm not even I'm not a big sci-fi fan, and I'm definitely not a big Western fan. So it's very funny that I'm actually kind of excited about this silly little icon.
Yeah, this is not on Hollywood's map, so this one is presumably an original.
Yeah.
More often than not, the Sprung Tents house originals. They've done IPs in the past, but more often than not, I'd say that they're mostly originals.
Make the Sprung Tent a big ship, flying saucer. Come on now.
Just the audio is just.
That'd be cool with a big cow because it's like Western themed too. Oh, I'm already seeing it.
You could. So yeah, there's a couple different ideas, right? It could be cowboys versus aliens. Maybe this is some sort of an invasion house that people have been asking for years.
That too.
Or it could just be a straight up sci-fi original, and maybe, and I think we talked about this on the live, maybe the little cowboy hat is sort of just a nod to the location that it's set in.
Could be.
So like aliens in a Western area, whether that's an Area 51, because that's Nevada, it's sort of in that little, I would consider that sort of a Western based area.
Yeah.
It could be, I forget the name of it, but we did have an alien-ish sci-fi house at Hallow Scream, I think last year.
Oh, yeah, like
50,
Farm 51 or something like that.
Farm 51. Could be pulling inspiration from over there, maybe. I don't know. I'd be excited because I have been asking for a sci-fi. I don't, again, I'm not like the biggest sci-fi person, but like did just say, I like variety. And sci-fi is something we haven't really dipped our toes into at HHN all too frequent in recent years. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but I mean, there's been a handful, but not like weird alien people recently. So I'm excited for it. I hope that this is something that sticks around, but we'll get to what we think sticks around in a little bit. I'm trying to not get too attached to anything on these early speculation maps, because every time I pick one that I'm like really excited for early on, it's not on the next one. So I try to not hype myself up too much. But yeah, this is intriguing, almost as intriguing as the next one. Do you have any more thoughts on the cute little alien guy?
Unfortunately, since it's not on both maps and it's probably original, I was going to say it'd be the perfect icon for a nope house.
Could be. Yeah, that would be that is something people, I don't know how they pull that one off, but that'd be tricky.
Yeah.
That would be tricky. But let's move along now to our last house location, and that is tent number 1. Again, an icon that is not on Hollywood, so we can assume it is some sort of original. And you should have heard me try to figure out what these things were. I'm sure you have a better idea of what these
all the makeup,
these little icons are. Yeah, but I got lipstick, I got scissors, I got the I think that's like for mascara.
It's
or eyebrows.
Mascara, a lipstick. It looks like an eyeshadow palette with the little eyeshadow little brush thing, and then scissors.
Okay. All right. So makeup.
Yeah.
Cosmetics.
And a little containment symbol, it looks like, on the lipstick, kind of. Interesting.
So,
I like this one.
Potentially a crossover of sorts, maybe. So the makeup and all that, it to me pushed me to thinking about Vanity Ball.
Yes.
The past scare zone. The little caution or biohazard thing led me to BlizzCon, an industry that we know does terrible things to things.
Yes.
They had the spill that caused the Toxic 20s. That was their rat poison industry.
Yep.
We saw them at Bugs Eaten Alive at their BuzzCon with their air fresheners or air AC units, whatever. They're bug repellent, gone horribly wrong. And we also got BuzzCon batteries in the Doll's house last year, Doll's Let's Play Dead. And there's another one. You had the BuzzCon, I think, labels in Slaughter Cinema 2 in the clown portion, those underground mutated clowns or something. So we know BuzzCon is just a terrible business that seemingly just fucks everything up wherever they go. And they dabble in all sorts of things. So why wouldn't they dabble in the cosmetics world?
It would make sense.
Do I need to sell you any more on this thing?
No, you really don't. And I mean, it would help too with in Vanity Ball, all the deformed looks and whatnot that they have. So it could be the makeup gone bad, or the makeup's contaminated or toxic.
Yeah. The only thing that, for me, I think messes with the story a little bit is, I believe, the Vanity Ball storyline. They had like the two.
That's what I was going to say too.
That were doing this to the people on purpose. Not necessarily as a form of torture, but sort of like I'm making you beautiful, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
If you do involve the BuzzCon, it kind of seems like it was accidental on BuzzCon's practices or standards. Not necessarily Vanity Ball, these people forcing this makeover on them. So that's a little conflict I see within those two possibly clashing together. Would you pick a Vanity Ball house? Would you pick a BuzzCon cosmetics house, or would you pick a combo of the two if you had your options?
I think a combo of the two would be fun. Or
okay, so you would like to see it
I would.
mashed.
I'd like to see it mashed up, or the BuzzCon cosmetics line would kind of be fun.
Yeah. I would hope with maybe Vanity Ball, I think, over that, because giving BuzzCon a whole house again
seems
a little repetitive. seeing as we just had the house was primarily the Bugs Eaten Live was just kind of BuzzCon. Everything else, it was sort of a side note or an Easter egg of sorts. But I could take any of them. I'd probably be happy with any of them, but I think I would pick a Vanity Ball. If you want to throw an Easter egg and just throw like BuzzCon labels on stuff, I'm cool with it as long as you don't make it 100% that it takes away from the story of Vanity Ball where those two characters were doing it to the people. Because I like that torture aspect of it. So, any final thoughts on Tent 1?
Think we got it.
All right. I think that wraps up that whole speculation map. Now, before we jump off, I want you to pick, let's make it interesting. Three things that from this map you think will be gone on the next map. What are 3 things you don't necessarily buy that are going to return? Or 2. Let's do 2. That's easier. 2 things you do not think will be on the next map.
The burning book and the lighter and cigarettes.
Okay, so you think Sinners and Evil Dead are potentially not going to be there.
If I had to pick a third, I would say the cowboy alien guy, unfortunately, even though I like him.
Just for the sake of shaking it up, I was also going to pick the book, but I'll keep that because you picked it. I will say that the skeletons dancing will not be on the map. And I think let's go with the cosmetics. I don't think they'll be on the next one. I know. Sad. Yeah. So now pick 2 that you hope are, or if you could pick any 2 that you really want to keep, what would you pick out of all these? Like you could protect these 2 at all cost.
Probably the cosmetic one, because I think it could be really fun. And maybe the pincushion. I know that's kind of a basic pick for the possible Hellraiser, but I would like to see a new horror icon at Horror Nights, especially for the anniversary year.
Yeah. I would protect the blood and guts. I would keep that. And I would protect the cosmetics.
Yeah.
If I could protect them, I would. But just because it's new, I don't buy stuff that pops up so quickly.
Yeah.
But that was our episode on the speculation map, the Friday the 13th speculation map from Horror Night Nightmares. Before we sign off, I do want to remind you all to listen along at the end of this because I'm going to tack on that little interview that me and Shamus did with Vinny Pacifico. Again, thank you so much, Vinny, for joining us. We hope that we can do this again at some point. And we'll follow up with all the stuff that we talked about. But until next time, which you'll hear me again in about 5 seconds. But until next time, this is Nick.
This is Jamie.
Happy haunts. And now for our interview with, you probably mentioned it on the top of the episode, we have Vinny Pacifico from, I'm going to name the list, but there's just so many. We got AEW, Ring of Honor, NXT, New Japan, Evolve, the place I met you, but kind of first saw, CYN, which is not really a thing anymore, but that's where our paths first crossed. The Power Punch Man himself, more punch than the Kool-Aid Man. We have Vinny Pacifico with us today. Vinny, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. That was a great intro. I love it.
And I didn't even touch on all the horror acting because that's something that we're going to talk about in a little bit. That's obviously a big reason as to why you're here. On top of, obviously, wrestling and horror acting, the Universal theme park enthusiast as well. So it's kind of a blend of multiple worlds for us here. So,
I love it.
So happy to have you, Hammond.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's been really busy, wrestling, acting, doing it all. It's just been such a busy last few months, and I'm grateful for it all, honestly, very much. It's been a crazy journey, to say the least.
Yeah. And we mentioned it kind of before we started this, but you are definitely spinning a lot of plates. It's a tough act to kind of keep up, but kudos for you. That's where the the grind really shows in your attitude. So we appreciate you jumping on with us here. A quick little icebreaker round. We kind of always do this when we have some guests on, and we kind of switch up the questions every now and then, but we do have to go. So what's your favorite slasher of all time?
Okay.
Start out with the hard ones.
Yeah, I love Halloween so much. It's really hard to give a different answer than the cliche Halloween answer. So I'm gonna say Halloween and Leprechaun. I also really enjoy
Okay.
Chucky's. Yeah,
Yeah.
I threw a
That's
few in
always
there just
they're
because I don't want to
goofy.
give people who are listening. They don't want to hear Halloween. I'm sure they hear it all the time.
Yeah.
So I gotta say Chucky and Leprechaun are my favorites. And I don't know. Do I like small killers? Maybe I guess so. I don't know.
You got to stick up for the little guy, right?
Short
Yeah.
kings, man. Short kings.
Yep,
Short
short
king.
kings. Are you more of a practical effects kind of guy or CGI in horror movies?
I like the classic stuff. I'll even go and I'll say I love Universal Monsters from the 50s.
Yep.
I
They
think
just made it happen.
there's something to not seeing the kill that we don't get that anymore. It's always seeing everything, seeing the organs, seeing all that shit. Why not go? Why not enjoy a classic where you only hear the scream and that's all you see? You know.
Yep.
So I'm a huge fan of the Universal Monsters. Whether it's Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman. All those guys are my favorites.
Yeah, they're classics for a reason, right?
Mummy, yeah.
Yeah. What is your do you have a singular comfort horror movie?
Godzilla.
Something that you kind of go back to?
I'd say Godzilla or Jaws. But for me, it's like I never thought Godzilla was a horror movie until I got into the horror industry. I started doing horror movies, and everyone's like, "Oh, Godzilla's a really good horror movie." And I'm like, "It's a horror movie." I don't really view it like that. Oh, or another horror movie I really enjoy, as I say, comfort would be what was it? It.
Oh, yep.
Pennywise, yeah. You gotta
Yep,
go. You gotta go
that's
with
a
those.
classic.
Totally.
No. All right. Well, let's roll into some stuff. I do have to get one thing off. I have seen you all over the Instagrams, and I'm not going to take up too much time talking about this, but talking with or doing collabs with AJ and Big Justice and the Boom Boys. How do we get to see the Rizzler go through a haunted house at Halloween Horror Nights?
That would be crazy.
How does that get made? How do we make this happen?
I don't know, but we put it in the universe, and I think now it's a possibility. Now that it's out there.
I'm petitioning for this. I'm petitioning to see the Rizzler go through whatever houses Halloween Horror Nights has to offer us this year at 35. It's a big anniversary. We got to bring out all the big people. We went back and forth on a comment on Instagram. I need to get the boom meter for all of those haunted houses.
That's a good.
We're the podcast to do it. That's for sure.
Yes. Exactly. You do all them. Last year Universal, I almost got a chance to do them. I did not get a chance to come to Universal that year. I was actually overseas in Germany and Dubai wrestling and doing all that stuff out there. So I just missed Universal this year.
Okay. It was a good one, but
I know.
We got another good one ahead of us, though. That's the good thing, is there's always another one.
Yep, we do.
So it is interesting, the parallels between wrestling and acting in general, but it does seem like a lot of wrestlers gravitate towards the horror genre. Friend of the program and somebody we'll talk about, I guess, in a little bit too, because I think they're attached to one of the projects you're working on. Our friend Ryzen, he is also kind of he's melded the horror wrestling gimmick together. And the list of people in horror movies, Batista went on to do Army of the Dead, Knock in the Cabin, Jericho, obviously with the Terrifier films, Roddy Piper and They Live. Goldberg was even in some crazy Santa sleigh movie where he kicked a dog and lit some lady on fire. That was ridiculous. But it's something that's not uncommon. Is this something that you see in the back with the boys in wrestling? Is horror the thing with a lot of the people?
Not so much. I mean, a lot of wrestlers, we get into acting, and I feel like I love horror. I love Disney movies. I love action. I love superhero movies. So all those types I would love to be part of, right? But definitely getting into horror kind of just fell into my opportunity came into my lap, and I gave it my all. I think I did a very good job, and that's how all the other projects came about. Like Mr. Reset, that one was filmed a year and a half ago. But talking a couple months ago, I did a horror movie called Crimson Harvest with Robert Mukes and Felissa Rose. And that one on set, I believe I impressed some people. And that's when I started casting for more and more things. You know,
Mhm.
word goes around that if you're talented or if you're good to work with, people want to work with you. So, and I'm thankful to say, this year alone, I have, I think, 7 or 8 movies I'm cast for.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
You
Yeah.
are busy man.
Jeez.
I don't even know how. Yeah, it's crazy, but I'm very grateful for it. I'm very excited for everything, and I'm lucky that it hasn't, the schedules wrestling in hasn't overlapped. Both of them are
Yeah.
very. It's been
Yeah.
very blessed to say that it's been very easy to do both.
Right. Well, we have a couple of questions to kind of get into, like, I think more of the horror side of it. And one of the things
Awesome.
I know that Nick and I wanted to kind of know is, obviously you have a love for professional wrestling as well as a love for just horror as a genre in general.
Yep.
Was there one that you can think of that came before the other? Like, were you kind of a big wrestling geek first and then kind of fell into horror after that, or was it like horror first
I
and
always
then?
love. Good question. I've always loved horror since I was a little kid. You know, how it started, I guess. How it started really. My mom would always put all of these heads of like Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman all around the house during Halloween. And then she bought me like this set of figures where like they had like the it would be like Frankenstein in the chair with the chains around the hands, and then it was like Wolfman with like the trees around him, and it was Dracula in like the coffin, and she had all those things for me, and that's how I really started liking it. It was really, really interesting and really, really cool to be like, holy shit, this is awesome. And
Yeah.
then, you know, I was at my grandma's house a couple of years later, maybe getting a little older, maybe about 7 or 8 years old. And Halloween was on. And that was when that scared the living daylights out of me. Never forgot about it. Still to this day, remember that. It was the first one. That's what got me really kind of like hooked into this. Like it was scary for me, but I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, it's like exposure therapy almost. Like
Yeah.
you
Oh
got
yeah,
to give it to them young, and then you're sort of desensitized.
It's funny because
Mhm.
I'm kind of like, not to go on story time, but I'm kind of like the opposite, because I vividly remember as a kid when I watched a ton of WCW, and
Mhm.
Sting, the Stinger, they did like some dual promotion thing between him and like whatever Child's Play movie was coming out at that time. So they had
Mhm.
like Chucky show up on the broadcast. I think it's
That's
kind of like
sick.
massive wrestling fan that kind of fell into horror through that kind of route. But yeah, between him and the Undertaker, I mean, I don't know who
I love it.
forced my hand that
Those
way,
those those
but I
those
think
are
you
those
kind
are
of,
classics.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think you kind of answered the second question already. Like, what? Because we were gonna like, we were wondering, like, was there a specific horror movie that you remember impacting you as a kid? Like that, like what was the first one you can vividly remember leaving an impact or leaving a mark? And it sounds like Halloween might be that movie, but I don't know if you have a different one that you can
It
think
was
of.
Halloween. Yeah, it was Halloween. I would say I also Chucky was a big one for me too. You know, that one really like sucked me in pretty quick. And I would also love to try and Halloween, Chucky, and there was one that I remember. I watched it. I just never. The Mist.
Oh,
Oh,
good
okay.
movie.
That one scarred me.
Yep.
That one made me ill, and it still does to this day.
Yeah. It's a deep cut movie, that's for sure.
It's sad.
Um,
It's like yeah, it's a whole. It's
It
a
is a,
emotional,
yeah, it's a very depressing movie for sure, especially at the end
definitely.
of it.
And there's no happy ending.
Right?
There's no
No, not
ending
at
you want
all.
to see. You know.
no. Um, like wrestling and horror, they definitely both are these larger than life kind of characters. Is that because you're coming from one world to the other? Was that more natural for you to like adapt to that setting, I guess, or characters?
I would say yes, because also like I play a villain in wrestling. Also, I could be a power punch, babyface, good guy, and I could also be a villain. And I utilize my skill in wrestling behind the camera, also in film. So thankfully, I've been able to utilize a lot of my skills that I've learned through my 12 years wrestling in acting, which is which has worked amazing for me so far. You know, stunts with getting to be able to switch characters like this, with being able to improv really well. I believe that wrestling has given me a very, very good base to excel in acting.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was kind of going towards too. Was like, what are some of the bigger things from wrestling that you've been able to kind of tuck in your pocket and bring to acting with you? I mean, obviously with the promos and everything like that, you're comfortable speaking and talking and
Definitely,
sometimes having to
yes.
go like ad lib and stuff like that. But it seems like that's probably one of the bigger things. Is there other stuff that you kind of took from, wrestling to acting and it helped you a lot?
Yeah, definitely the stunt work. Definitely being able to be on the fly and improv when I need to. Definitely being able to switch characters wherever really is needed. And yeah, I would say those things kind of really. Also, being able to like make a punch look really good on camera. That for me has worked out pretty well. I punch somebody and it looked realistic, and they're like, "Holy shit, we got to use that one clip for that scene." It was easy.
Yeah.
So pretty much, I would say definitely wrestling has been an amazing way of just helping me be able to perform my best. Of course, acting lessons, doing those stuff, doing those things as well, but being able to really like sell an injury or sell pain or being able to act like I'm in pain. Those things I learned from 12 years of wrestling. Since I'm 14, I'm wrestling, traveling, all this shit. And wrestling's also taught me to be able to adapt to anything. And that
Yeah.
in film, I would say, is a huge benefit.
Yeah, and it's we say it's obviously with, like you said, pulling punches and stuff like that, but man, that shit hurts. We had a t-shirt that we sold last year that was like a Monday Night Raw logo, and for like a stupid Instagram reel, I went over, I forget the name of the wrestling school in Orlando, but they I believe it was maybe Jamie Stanley, but I gave me a little power slam for the Instagram reel, and man, that rocks you. That's no joke in there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's not great.
It's not at all. It's something that 12 years worth of it is, after a while, you kind of like, holy shit.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go towards acting at this point. I get less punched and beat up in there. It's so good.
Hey,
but
I offered to take the bump. Nick decided he wanted to do it.
Yeah, I got to go for the glory. But you said, so 12 years you've been in wrestling, but you're young. So when did you get into this?
Started at 14. I started at 14.
Okay, yeah.
I was a fan of it since I was like 8 or 9, maybe younger than that. Loved it always. I was always watching it on TV, playing the video games, stuff like that. But I was playing football in high school. And after a while, I was like, you know what, Dad? I want to try wrestling. Freshman year, I was like, I want to wrestle. I want to go to wrestling school. Put me in wrestling school. And he did. And I've not stopped since.
Yeah. It's tough. I everyone that I talk to that's in that wrestling bit, it's like the bug. You catch it and you're hooked.
That's it. And movies too. Like, I got on set for Family Ties. So what happened really was I filmed Family Ties and Crimson Harvest within the same weekend, within a 5-day span. And that was an amazing feeling, being on set with people and just being able to go out there and just do my best, and whatever they needed from me, I did. And
yeah,
it's addicting.
Yeah, that's everything that I've heard about both the industries, where it's just, you really get sucked in. And like you said, you have so much going on right now, but it doesn't even, obviously you get tired and run down, but it doesn't feel that bad because you're doing what you love.
Exactly. To a T. But also it's not easy with traveling. It's caught up to me.
Oh yeah. I can imagine it will to anybody,
For years I was fine, but like now I'm like, all right, let me stretch before I fly. Let me, I gotta sleep on the plane, because sometimes my only sleep I get on a plane,
Yeah.
or neck pillow always. So like, you gotta take care of yourself when you're doing these travels, because you got one body, and I want to do both of these things until I can no longer do them.
Yeah, I know. Shit, we're both older than you, and I can't go by the old motto that I used to say when I was doing track in college was, you ever see a cheetah stretch? No, I'm good. I can't do that anymore.
Like that.
Got to stretch now.
Yeah, no,
Guys,
you stretch.
I like
and
that.
plus, flying beats the shit out of you too. Like, if you fly a lot, and I'm sure you fly a ton, so I'm sure like you understand that like it's a pain in the ass up and down all the time. Yeah, yep,
every
for sure.
week, and it's like one of those things where it's like you don't realize what going that high in the air does to your body. Also, like that's part you don't realize. I don't know what I saw a reel somewhere. It was like if you're at a certain altitude in the sky, your body your temperature or your blood pressure goes down. I don't know what it was, but it was like, damn, that's not healthy. All the time.
No.
Right,
it takes its toll.
Not at all. So just switching gears a little bit, it sounds like you're a Horror Nights fan. So, I mean, I think the answer to that question is yeah, for sure. Do you have a particular house from years past that you kind of fondly remember, or maybe consider your favorite?
I've never been to Horror Nights.
Never.
No, I thought you
Never
had.
once?
I know you're a
okay.
big Universal. So
I am a huge Disney Universal guy and theme park person. Never got to do Horror Nights. I
Okay,
did
we'll
go
change
in
that.
2020 while they were setting up for it. And they had the giant Chucky dolls in like the
Mhm.
Yep.
good guy thing. That was so sick. And I was
Yeah.
planning on going in that year, but just whenever I plan on it, just I get busy or never happens or I'm overseas.
Yeah.
And it's just because the last 2 years I've been overseas in October, November. You know what I mean? These
Yeah.
last 2 years. So it's like this year I'm making sure I'm around for Horror Nights. I don't care what. I mean, if it's a huge opportunity, I got to take it. But I'm
Yeah.
planning on doing Horror Nights this year.
Oh yeah, we'll make sure we'll figure something out. We'll have to run it
Definitely.
together.
Yeah.
Definitely. We got to do it.
Well,
If I'm
gonna-
going, I got to be up with you there.
I'm
Yes,
gonna throw a question here that Nick didn't include. But so is there any like other type of smaller local haunt that you've been to or you like
Yes.
going to? Yeah.
I did Six Flags.
Okay.
That's Fright Fest. That was so much fun.
Yeah.
I used to be a bitch when it came to like those things. Like I had I remember I was with my friends and I had my head dug into his back so I couldn't see anything. And then I'm like, you know what? Why am I doing this then? I'm kind of like not enjoying it. You know, I'm just hiding it behind my friend. And I was like, you know, let me go enjoy this. It's scary. They are so scary. They're so thrilling, and I love them. But at the time, I was like, you know what? I used that as a cheat code to get through them. But then I'm like, you know what? I'm wasting my time. I'm here doing this, and it's like I'm not getting to really enjoy the actual thrill of it. And then I'll tell you one time, I think this was also Fright Fest. There was this. I don't know the word of it. It's like it was a hole, right? And it was like surrounding the hole was like air, like a balloon, like a giant balloon
Okay.
with a hole in it.
Yep.
And they walk through the balloon and they get sucked in. And that was the scariest thing. I was like, I saw my friend Matt like walk through it and just disappeared. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I
He's
went
dead.
through it.
It's gone forever.
Yeah, it squeezes you. It was so sick. I also did what else did I do? I did a Horror Nights Fright Fest. I did one in Staten Island where I live. And then I also did one in Jersey. It was a very famous one in Jersey. Brightonsville Horror. I don't know the name.
That one. Yeah.
But that one was wild. That one, they had the lines were like 4 hours long, and it was like crazy. It was crazy. And my nephew was the one this time hiding behind my back, sticking his head in my back, in my shoulders, not looking at anything. But I was me and my wife and nephew took him out there that day.
Nice. That's fun.
Amazing.
So you didn't go this past season, but I'm sure you heard about the Wyatt Six house.
Oh yeah, you Terrifier, Wyatt Six, Friday Nights at Freddy. Those I was like, I was ready to go to all those, and I'm like, I'm in Dubai wrestling in Germany, and I'm like, you know what? Let's get home in time for this.
Yeah.
And we didn't. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, we did a theme park called Europa Park in Germany.
Mhm.
Have you heard of that?
I think
Europa
I've
Park?
heard of it. Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yo, that is the sickest theme park I've ever been to. Tell you what, the rides there are so insane that I go to Disney, SeaWorld, Universal, and whatever else I go, the rides don't faze me anymore.
Yeah, right.
I almost am sad. I'm almost sad I went there because now it's like I just did Velocicoaster. It was amazing. I freaking loved it, but it was like, like that was it. I
Yeah.
wanted, you know what I mean? Like there's a ride called the Voltron. Write that down. Look it up after this. It's called the Voltron. That is the sickest ride I've ever been on in my life, and that ride ruined every other ride there for me. But also, they had a really sick Horror Nights at that place in Germany. It was amazing.
Nice.
That's cool.
I imagine that'd be wicked, especially during if they do some like, Krampus style stuff in December. Like that's one spot I'd like to get out to during the holidays at that point.
Oh, you gotta do it. It's called Europa Park, and it's basically Epcot, but all the European countries.
Okay.
That's cool.
And they have the Epcot Bowl there too.
Oh shit! I'll have to check
Yeah,
that
I'll
one
have to
out
look it up.
if I ever get out there.
It's amazing.
It's a bucket list for me. Germany's definitely a bucket list for sure.
I love it there. The wrestling scene, the horror scene is just
Yeah, top
Yeah,
notch. That's one of
for
those
sure.
things is like you don't even want to obtain the best at some point because, like you said, then it's just all downhill from there.
Yeah,
there's just
like, I love Tron. I love Velocicoaster. I love Hagrid's. I love all that shit. But after riding that Voltron, nothing phases me. Like, do you ever go to SeaWorld?
Yeah.
Yep.
No rides are crazy at SeaWorld.
They're probably
the
some of
Manta-
Some of the
other
best
than
coasters in
Velocicoaster,
Florida,
probably
yeah.
some of the best in Orlando, especially.
They're insane. But
Yeah.
it's like the Voltron was so crazy that I don't think anything touches that ride.
I'm gonna go do some YouTube POV videos after this and throw up or
Voltron.
something. I'll put on a VR set. and just
Nikola
like,
Tesla. It's like
Okay.
Nikola Tesla themed.
That's cool.
Okay.
The
Yeah, that sounds
Voltron.
really cool.
Oh my god! And then there's a
Top-notch.
Phantom of the Opera ride. There was a Phantom of the Opera ride.
I might have seen some videos of that.
You
now
put
that
the
you say
VR
that.
headset on,
Okay, yeah.
and so pretty much what happens is it's a roller coaster, but you don't see anything. All you see is so you put the headset on, and then my wife turned into like an old man. I turned into like an old man. Everyone around me, everyone turned this up to somebody else. And you go on the roller coaster. The roller coaster turns into like something else. Like everything you see is not what it is. Everything changes. And as the roller coaster, like you're flying through the concert where Phantom of the Opera is singing, and like it's just crazy. It's a crazy ride. It's a phenomenal ride, and I got sick as heck on that ride. VR, virtual reality rides are no longer my thing. They make me sick.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
a little
can't
too much.
either. Like you said, you're a Disney guy, right? Like they have that Avatar one, and I hadn't ridden it ever, and my kids
Which
finally
one?
dragged me onto it.
The one you
You're riding the Navi thing or whatever, riding that
Mhm.
that dragon thing, and the 3D glasses. It just screws me up. Like, and I can't. Like, I'm dizzy, I'm
sick.
sick to my stomach. Yeah, I'm like, nah, that's a one and done for me.
Oh yeah, and then Last
Yeah.
Hours, the Star Wars ride, Star Tours, that one
Yeah.
got me
Yeah.
so sick.
Yeah, that
I'm
one.
like,
That
Smash
was
you in a
rough
little
too.
box and shake you around. But let's move on to the I want to see like the future, like past / future of obviously the horror acting. You were a part of Crimson Harvest, Family Ties. You had mentioned that. Mr. Reset and the Society of Turnbuckle and Bones. I saw that was. You mentioned earlier that it was filmed a while ago, but I just saw, I think it was Bloody Disgusting or Fangoria that had posted that article about that, announcing maybe more of the cast and stuff like that. So what can you tell about that and where this, the state of it is at right now?
The state is we're launching full force. Like for the last year, we dealt with a lot of people who promised a lot of things, producers, agents, all this stuff, and a lot of it was too good to be true. A lot of it was a lot of promises, a lot of empty shit. And eventually, for a year, pretty much, they're like, "Oh, Vinny, we want to do this, we want to do that with you, we want to put you in this movie, but only if you do this." Like it was a very much like we dealt with a lot of people who are manipulative.
Yeah.
So we dealt with people who were just trying to like take advantage of us. They wanted to control the film. They wanted the control of like me. They wanted the control of certain things, and we were like, you know what? We're after a while, we're like, we're good. But that led to a point where there was a little bit of like sadness. Like, damn, we were so close. We had all these talks, all these meetings with people, and then the director called me and says, "Hey, we're launching January. This January, he called me. We're launching. We're doing it." Said, "Let's just do it." I'm going full-fledged, balls to the wall. That's it, and that's kind of the status is like we're launching. We're working with distribution. I'm getting on podcasts and promoting it. I'm doing whatever I can to make sure this film does what it does what I believe it could do, and that's what I feel as like a lead actor of this. I feel I feel grateful that I have that, but I'm also I feel like it's part of my job to make sure this film does what it does. And I have a lot of connections in media. So that's why I'm usually utilizing getting every podcast I can. Like, because again, podcasting and media is so important. If no one knows it, no one hears it, no one knows it, right?
Right.
So you have to be able to promote what you're doing to the best of your ability. And that's what I'm doing. And this is a wrestling horror film, two of my biggest passions in one. So I'm very excited for this. It's going to be a freaking amazing trip. And, it's going to be, I don't know. I just think it's going to be amazing. And it also,
Wow.
All my other films I have this year, if there's a sequel, Mr. Reset, you're going to see even better acting from me from that. You know what I mean? 'Cause that was my first ever time acting.
Experience and
But I also played myself. I played Vinny Pacifico, so it wasn't like a hard thing. But also now I have
Right.
experience with multiple different characters, different scenes, different scenarios. So now I'm going to be able to utilize what I've learned in the acting industry and wrestling, and make it even better for episode 2 if we have one. Which it looks like it looks good.
No, I'm very excited to kind of check this out, and kind of it seems like the stuff that you went through to get this to where it was with that, you know, being taken advantage of. That's kind of one of the themes of this movie, if I'm correct, is that you know, kind of reaching for the brass rings, and it's just kind of, you know, you got to jump through loophole after loophole after loophole just to kind of obtain that final goal. So I'm really excited to see that. This last year, I think we covered Dark Match, which was on Shudder, which was kind of that blended horror wrestling style movie as well with Jericho, which was really cool. It's like this weird just like indie wrestling show where people are brought there, but they're actually like in the death match. It's a death match, it's not wrestling, and then they kind of find out the wrong way that it's, you know, it's all downhill and it's actually a horror movie.
Sick.
So yeah,
it's pretty sick. And I'll tell you what, a lot of this in my career I went through, like growing up, bullying, you know, I started at 14. So like this film highlights the way the way it can be growing up in the entertainment industry. You know, it just shows like nothing's all roses and peaches. You know, there's a lot of shit we go through, you know, especially being young or starting out, and like you gotta deal with the bullying, the hazing, you know, the obstacles, the give and takes, you know, those things, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of that being able, and I've been through it for years, so I'm able to show that through this film.
Yeah, which I'm really excited. So I don't know if do you have an idea of where this will be available yet?
I do, but I'm not allowed to say yet.
Okay,
that's the only thing.
Okay, all right. So it is coming soon at some point.
Oh yes. So we're heavily working. We're heavily working with distributors, and it looks very good. I'm just knock on wood. It goes through, and if it goes through, you will see it.
Nice. Yeah, nice. We'll cover that as much as we can when that comes out, because I'm really excited to.
Thank you guys.
Definitely.
I love wrestling and horror, but it's even better when we know people involved. It's just, it feels nice. It's that DIY style attitude,
exactly,
which I love with horror movies. Which it seems like horror movies are more often the underdogs, right? Like you look at something like Terrifier, where it kind of started as a short film, it bridged into a full length movie that was part of a compilation, and then it kind of took off as Terrifier 1, and it was like, wow, this really grassroots. It came from nothing essentially, and you know, just kind of people put their head down, go to work, and you know, all you can do is make it, put it out there, and hopefully it resonates with the masses.
Right. And the best part is, I know a lot of those guys. I'm starting to be around those guys a lot, and I'll tell you what, they're amazing human beings, and they deserve every ounce of success they got.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see this one that pops out. And then I did just see, right before we started this, I saw on your Instagram you shared your cast. I believe this came out a couple days ago, early February. You're cast in this new Dead Man's Creek.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be that also. That's gonna be amazing. The cast they have so far is incredible. My wife's gonna be in it. My wife who's in Mr. Reset is gonna be in that also. Carly Pacifico, she's killing it. But there are some elements you won't be able to pick up on it unless you're a wrestling fan. But there are some elements of like wrestling inspiration in that film. Not very subtle, but there are, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, just sprinkled in there. Well, I'm real excited to kind of see when all this has. So Dead Man's Creek, that it seems like it's probably like in pre-production right now. It's probably something that hasn't been shot yet. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so that's on the calendar.
It's on the calendar. You know, the Forgotten, Equator Productions. That's happening in April. Filming that in April. Then I have, oh my gosh, I have 3 movies in April. I have 3 movies. I confirmed today. I have 3 movies in April. And I'm thinking about it, I'm like, how am I going to, and then, but also, I just booked a TV wrestling date in April also. So April's going to be a month that, like, March and April are going to be 2 months that, like, I have, like, I'm not going to be home at all, probably.
Yeah. We'll see you in June or something.
Grateful for this.
All right, yeah. So, again, thank you so much for jumping on. Before we do sign off, why don't you plug, obviously, your socials and anything, but anything that has to do with Mr. Reset and the Society of Turnbuckle and Bones? Where can people kind of set their alerts so they know when this stuff is going live?
Awesome. Yeah, they could follow. I believe I follow it on Instagram. If you go to my follow, Mr. Reset Official, I think it's Mr. Reset Official. I believe that's the Instagram. You could, but also follow me at Vinny Pacifico on Instagram, Vinny Pacifico 1 on Twitter, and Vinny Pacifico on Facebook, and Vinny Pacifico 1 on YouTube. That there on those platforms, you will be able to see every single announcement, every single piece of work that goes into this, I'll be putting on there. So everyone has up to date about the film and where it's going to be, and trailers and clips and pictures and all that stuff. It's going to be all in there. Behind the scenes.
Nice. Awesome. I'm real excited to do this. I can't wait. So when all this comes up, we'll circle back around it. It's gonna be a really fun full circle moment to see the whole, like, kind of before, after, during sort of
And we'll meet in Universal.
process.
Definitely.
Yes, and we will do
Definitely.
that.
Definitely.
You got,
All
listen,
right,
that last week was insane. I had my dad with me, my wife with me, and then I had to one wanted to do one thing, one wanted to do another thing. I had to answer to both. It was
it's
a week
tough.
of that is too much.
It's a lot.
Yep, that's
that's
how
why
it
I like
works.
going to the parks for about 4 hours max,
Yeah.
unless it's horror
It was
nights, and I'm there all
SeaWorld, it was
night.
Disney, it was Universal. We did, but now I hear like, oh, I want to do Hagrid's. No, I want to do Simpsons. Or I want to do this. And I was like, I want to do this instead. You know what?
Yeah.
Get out me for once. No,
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
I want to rest. I want to kick
Yeah.
my feet back and just relax for 1 second, please.
But next time I'm in Orlando, we'll meet Universal. City
Yes,
Walk or
definitely.
side Universal. Whatever you want.
That
for
works
sure.
for me.
Let's do it.
All right, Vinny. Again, thank you so much for jumping on.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I just can't wait to be up to date with all this stuff when it comes out. I'm real excited. Wish you nothing but the best of the luck and safe travels and everything. I know you're zipping around this country like it's nothing. But keep on keeping on. The grind is really inspirational, and that's something
Thank
that
you.
we try to do here, where we're we kind of do as much as we can, and that's all you can do.
That's it.
You know,
That's all. That's the name of
Yep.
the game. Do what? Just do it. Just do. Don't think. Just do.
Exactly. Just do
Yep.
it.
just do it. All right, man. Thank you, and we will talk soon.
guys.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
man.
guys.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Fear and Beer, a Halloween Horror Nights podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whatever streaming platform you are listening to us on. You can find us on all of our socials at Fear and Beer Pod.